Well, hello. For those who missed it or watched it crazily, there was about an hour and 30 minutes of live streaming with no audio whatsoever, which was fantastic. So I'm just going to do a recap of what I have done. If we do a git status, did a couple of changes that I've made, but mainly to the repo. Git diff, pkg. Um, I've added on the pending payment the return value, and what I've done is I've got a new method to get the payment request. So what we're looking to do here is return the payment request, and of course I have also updated the unit tests. So git diff on pkg repository. Ooh. Great. Why? So the tests have been updated. Don't know why it's not showing anything is changing. So what we've done is we've added a new test for insert pending client payment. This is inserting the table and setting the value up and inserting it into the database, then getting the payment request and checking it. So what I'm trying to do now is I'm trying to write tests on top of this as end-to-end tests at the moment. And what I'm wanting to do is start to look at this from a library point of view, as a package point of view. I want to be able to expose this repository and be able to use it within the API, so the REST API, and within the packages of Cobra, so that I can have a nice interface between this. Eventually, this is done in stages, right? So eventually, Cobra will just access the API, because it's silly that I would have all the code inside a CLI. That CLI should really just be a window to an API with auth backing it. Then eventually this will be converted into microservices, and then eventually this will be converted into EDA, event-driven architecture, and then eventually what we're looking to do is maybe even convert this to lambdas. So at the moment, I'm just trying to get a construct up. I'm just trying to get a basic package and framework up. So here I have a test for setting up the database. And when we set up the database and initialize it, it's going to create the stuff for us. It's going to create the tables. So what I'm doing here is I'm just double checking that the table does exist, and the table should exist because it's been created here. Then what I'm going to do is I am going to insert a record in and add a payment request. And once I've added that payment request, I then should be able to get it. And if I run my unit tests, go test packages and just test the repository, we can see we're passing, and we can also see that we've got the value back of John. Well, that would not be possible if it wasn't working. So 989. So let's get the value of 989. That's the table that we created. And we can see that we have got that value in the database there. So this is a relatively good end-to-end test. However, one of the things I noticed was I am running an add payment request and sending it in. However, the things like the action and the status should automatically be managed for us. These are things that are behind the scenes. Really, a developer, a user of my library should just be able to add a payment request they shouldn't need to know that they need to specify add client payment request as an argument or pending as a status. That's stuff that's done behind the scenes. And that stuff is done with the new client payment request. So if I have a look at that, find string and look at find string, come on. We have a look at that. The way that this will work is we ask the repository for a new client payment request based off the small amount of data that we've got. So basically things like this. This will then create the payment request, and this will specify things like pending and add client payment request. Come on, keep up with me. So that can then just be sent to the repository to add the client payment request, right? And that will go in, be saved, and return back. So all will be good with the world. However, within my test, I'm not doing that. Within the test, I'm just making an add payment request and dumping it in. So the next thing I want to do is I want to simplify this, right? I want to be able to just use this repository new client payment request, pass in the data and get a payment request that I can then pass into here. And my test should be closer to what I would get at the wire of the API and the command line prompt for the moment. So all good. I just need to do that, and then once I've done that, it's validation time. So I think I started talking about that here. So this is the bit that we're going on with. Within unit tests, we need to use the following setup for payment, which is going to do that. And then it's time to start with the validation. But we're in a good place, right? We're in a place where we have got unit tests, we have got the database, we have got data going in. Seems like a lot of work at the moment just to insert a small amount of data into the database, but this is now where everything pays dividends. This is where I can start having clean data inputs coming in and out. I can start thinking about the contract more. I can validate and get clean validation. I can even start thinking about a true response object, a true error response object and a true status response object, so that I can pass, maybe HATOS or maybe some kind of clean information back to the caller. Maybe a little bit too far at the moment, but I can start thinking about that stuff now. Either way, the first part of this journey was to get a client payment request into a subsystem. Well, kind of done it, right? It's nasty, it needs cleaning up, but the essence of what I wanted it to do is done. And although this, has been months in the making, actually it's only been a couple of hours here and there. It'd be done in a day, but the joys of having 2 kids, a wife, and a full-time job makes his head, right? So as always, thank you for watching. I am the Gizzard.